Financial advice. Don't take financial advice from somebody wearing a wife beater. But tonight, let me try to give some financial advice for something that did work for me. And I'm not rich. I ain't got no money, but baby, I'm rich on personality, like Prince said. Uh, so don't ask me for $5. And this dude the other day, matter of fact, he tried to burglarize my apartment while I was home. And so I'm asleep on the couch watching the basketball game, and I hear some tapping on my window, really small, sounds like an insect. And I hear a small voice inside of me saying, "Get up, go check it out." I didn't want to go check it out. Eventually, I went and checked it out when I heard that second tap. Went to see my sliding door open and see two pair of eyes looking at me. So I was like, oh man, heart started pounding. I locked the door, went to go grab my arms, came back, see the guy trying to jump over the banister. He jumps over and gets away. And then I'm about to run out the door, but I'm thinking, all right, there might be somebody outside the door waiting for me. But anyway, let me get back to the financial advice. I'm just trying to say, don't, I'm not the one sitting out here trying to flaunt or brag, but I can share some information with you. So this is what I'm gonna do. Real estate, in my opinion, is a good investment due to the fact that you don't have to consistently be there every single day, making sure that your operation is running well. You do any other kind of form of business, you're going to have your ass physically there. And so, unless you're investing in stocks or something like that. But anyway, so that's what I like about it is, you can wait 30 days and sometimes get paid and you didn't have to do a damn thing. So how would you get there? How would you do that? Let me try to make this as short as possible. First off, what I would not do is I would not buy single dwelling houses. Because let's look at the numbers. We're going to talk a lot of numbers right here. When you're buying a house, depending on where you live, the areas, are drastic. Like California, or the difference with California houses, you usually buy in $700,000 almost starting off in most of the areas. But anyway, in Atlanta, you used to be able to get a house for like $120,000, 2-bedroom house. Now I think it's about $200,000. Anyway, here are the numbers. So the reason why you don't want to buy a single dwelling house, which means, it's not a multi-unit, it's not a duplex, it's not a triplex. The reason you don't want to buy a single dwelling house is you're going to be paying close to, $900 or $1,000 a month if you're living in that. Let's use Atlanta for an example. If you're from Atlanta, you're going to be paying $1,000 a month for your mortgage. You rent your house out for maybe $1,200 a month. You're only getting about $300 profit every single month. Now, let's look at $300 profit and say after 6 months, you have about $1,800. I don't know what the math is. I'm just going off the top of my head. So whatever. You have about $1,800, let's say, profit. Let's say anything goes wrong with the property. You have to buy a new refrigerator. Or, of course, the air conditioner goes out. All of a sudden, that might put you in $2,500 worth of repairs. You see what I'm saying? Now all of a sudden, there's no profit, and you've lost $700, so you're paying for somebody else to live in your apartment. This is the reason why. This is the other side of landlords, where people get mad at, oh, they keep raising the price, or, it's unfair. But nobody ever hears the other side. And the other side is, well, I can't let you live in my house and cut even, because things go wrong, and I always have to fix it. And so in fixing it, that would make me literally pay for you to live in my property. Nobody gets in business for that. So let's talk the numbers when you're going in and you're trying to buy a house. My advice to you is to buy duplexes, which is it's a house that separates in the middle with a wall that separates and allows one family to live on one side of the house and another family to live on the other side of the house. It's the same thing you do when you have apartments, except this is being done with houses. And so I would say buy a duplex or buy a triplex or buy a quadruplex. I would first start off with duplexes because an individual needs to know how to manage personalities and repairs if this is your first time. And if you start off with too many people, it's going to be too much stress most likely. Anyway, so let's say I'm going to purchase a duplex for $200,000. How much money do I need to have in the bank to be able to go to purchase a duplex for $200,000? I would say you would. That's when you break into the loans. I would advise somebody to start off with at least $35,000. Now, I'm going to give you different variables and options. I would say in that is what you want to do is you're going to the bank and you say, I want to buy a duplex. And you go to Zillow.com or you go to the MLS.com, whatever is your state, if it's Georgia, GAMLS.com. And you want to look at all these homes that you want to choose, the duplex that you want to choose. Those will give you the options of the duplex that you want to choose from. And then you make your choice on which duplex you want to buy there for the price, and it shows you the price, it shows you what the home looks like. And I would advise you go to the area, make a drive through it, and see if that's what if the house looks like what it looks like on the internet. Anyway, when you go to the bank, you try to get pre-approved for a loan. And so your loan options is a Fannie Mae in Atlanta. And with those, let's say your house costs $200,000. Well, the Fannie Mae says you only have to have a 3% or 5% down payment for that loan. And so that means off of $200,000, I don't know, goodness, too much math, and I don't feel like doing calculator. And but I'm just guessing. Let's just say that's going to be about, maybe a $3,000 down payment that you're going to have to make to be able to get that house. And so then they'll pre-approve you for the loan. And after they pre-approve you for the loan, you typically want to go to find the house that you want and go to the owner and say, okay, this is the house I want. After you've agreed on a contract that states that this owner can't sell the house and that you're going to do due diligence, is what they call it, in terms of trying to buy the house, then they give you 30 days. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to put down earnest money. A lot of times the earnest money that this owner wants is about $1,000 to $1,500. And some of them don't take earnest money at all, but most of them do. And so you might give it to the owner or you might give it to your realtor. And what they do is they say, that's for the fact that they've taken the house off the market so other people can't get the house, while you're trying to find a appraiser, an inspector, and you're going through the process of underwriters with your bank. I'll get to that later. But this is all off the top of my head, freestyling, so I'm not really too prepared. I have a few notes, but I didn't want to be reading stuff. But anyway, so you're going to go to them and with the earnest money. And what the people do with the earnest money is, what they're saying is, we've taken the house off the market for 30 days, and you have 30 days to basically purchase this house when we sit down and sign it over to you. This is what the other owners of the house are saying to you. And so that's what's normal. And so what they're saying is, if you don't do everything that you were supposed to do in 30 days, we might keep this money of $1,500. But if it's something that's reasonable, that we understand that the house failed inspection, or something else happened with the banks, then many people will give you your money back, especially if the house failed inspection and it's not worth what the people listed the house to be worth. And so anyway, after you give them that $1,500, maybe $2,000, or maybe a little bit more depending on where you live. After you give them that money, what you have to do is you have to go forth and find a inspector. What your inspector is going to do is look to see what kind of condition the house is in. Because what you want to pay attention to is, You want to pay attention to mold in the house. You want to pay attention to leaking pipes. You want to make sure that you have PVC pipes. P is in pump, V is in Victor, C is in Charlie. PVC pipes. You want to make sure they have those because those are easy to replace, like $5. Whereas copper pipes, if something happens, you might have to replace all the pipes, which can be like $5,000. Do your math. So you want to make sure the air conditioning is in good shape because air conditioners cost anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000. You want to make that you don't. You want to make sure that you don't have termites, and preferably you might want a one-story duplex because you don't want to have to deal with the problems of two stories as far as whatever. But then you might also want to make sure that your house is all brick or at least half brick, so that that limits the problems that you have with siding and vinyl and other things like that. Once you get the house, what you want to do is you want to make sure that make the house look good. Give people a nice bathroom, tiling, and redo the floors, hardwood floors, or put some good tiling on the floors, and give it a little style. Sinks and a basin for the sink in the bathroom that looks kind of decorative, so that you can raise that price when you put it on the market, and then you won't have to change. What I want to say. Then you won't have to worry about making repairs or changing to update stuff for about 5 to 10 years later. So getting back to the banks in that situation, you so you've put down 3 to 5%, or if the banks, or if you already own a home and you have a bad loan officer with the bank, and he's saying, hey, you already own a home and you're trying to get a second home, we're not going to qualify you for that Fannie Mae. Then you might have to put down 20 to 25% on that home, which is when I was talking about having $30,000 to $35,000. That's the reason why I was saying you might need to have $30,000 to $35,000. It's because if you have a banker who's saying that to you, a loan officer, well, that's the amount of money you're going to need or more, because you're going to have to pay 20 to 25% of whatever that house costs. Now, the good thing about that is that 25% or 20% goes into whatever that house costs. So if your house costs $200,000, whatever 20% is off of $200,000, let's just say it drops it down to like 170 or something like that. Well, then now when you pay your mortgage, you're paying that. So it's not like you're throwing the money away. The money is going back into you, and so now your mortgage will be very low. If you bought a house for $150,000 and you put in $30,000, well, then you're paying a mortgage now on a house as if it cost, for what it does cost now, $120,000 for what it's worth, not what it costs, and because you've already put that money in. But let me give you a clue, a hint, some information. Now, if your loan officer is saying, hey, you already have a house, which you can say that loan officer, yes, I have a house, but me and my girlfriend broke up, or me and my wife are going through hard times. Or you can say, hey, I live far away from my job and I need another house because, I want to be able to have another house to be able to stay in because this is where I work now. And, I'm thinking about selling this other house and that house will be gone. Or, you give them a valid excuse like that. Well, then you can qualify now, again, for the 3% or the 5% loan. The only caveat or the only thing about that is, when you do the 3% or 5% with a Fannie Mae, it's really all good on that angle. But the only thing to know about that is, it's not going to drop your mortgage down because you only put in 5% of a down payment onto that. So, take 5% away from $200,000. That's what you're going to end up paying for your mortgage. Whereas the other one, you pay 20 to 25%. Well, now your mortgage is looking really low. Big thing I'm trying to do here is get you the maximum profit margin that you can get per month from renting out to tenants. And let's say, you bought a house for $150,000 and you put in $30,000. Well, then now your house is $120,000 for the mortgage that you're paying. And when you rent that duplex out, you're renting it out where, let's say, each side, for each tenant, you're charging each tenant in that duplex unit $1,000. So that's $2,000 total you're getting from your tenants every single month. Now, the mortgage that you're paying is about $700. So 700 minus 2,000 every single month from one duplex, you're profiting about $1,300. And that's what you would expect if you purchased the duplex for about $150,000, and then you put in a 20% down payment. Now, if you put in a 3% or 5% down payment on a $150,000 duplex, then you would get, that would be probably about what, 145,000 you're paying, and your mortgage every single month would probably be about $850, maybe at the most $900, depending on interest rates. And so from there, you would pay $850 to $900, and your profit margin, 900 minus 2,000, $1,100 every single month is what you would be bringing in for a profit. So you can see it's not really that much of a difference when you're talking about a house costing $150,000. Now, if you're talking about much higher priced houses, which I don't want to go into, $1 million houses basically, well, then you can see where you might want to think about that more. Anyway, so you go to the bank and you tell them you want the house, and and they approve you for the loan, the pre-approval for the loan. And so what you're going to do after that is you're going to get your inspector to look at the house, like I told you, what you want them to look out, what you want to look out for in the inspection. And then you want to make sure that the house is appraised. So you have to get an appraiser, and each one of these cost about just say $1,000. You're paying the inspector, I forget how much, but the appraiser about $1,000 somewhere, or just estimated that around. And so they go in to determine how much the house is worth, because some people might list a house for, this house is $1 million house and it's only worth $300,000. Well, then you don't want to buy that house. And so the appraiser tells you this is what the house is worth, and so now you know what the house is worth legitimately. And then another thing that you can do is I'm trying to think of all the little tidbits, but I don't want to go everywhere and lose track of what you need to do to get the house. So you've gone through and you've had your appraiser and your inspector. The next thing that's going to happen to you is the bank has people who are going to check everything about you, as far as your credit card payments, your car payments, anybody. They go through your entire bank account for like the past 2 years. Make sure you had a steady check coming in. They're called underwriters. These people don't play. And basically, it's like having I never had that. I was going to say colonoscopy. But they go through your ass, basically. And they question everything and try to find every reason, technically, to deny you for that loan. And they'll come up and question you and say, hey, what happened this time when you didn't make this payment? And then you have to come up and bring them something in writing saying that this is the situation. Maybe you have another business that wasn't doing that good. They want to say, hey, are you still doing this business? It's costing money, and we're worried that, if you're still putting money into this business, then you're not going to be able to take care of this property. And so you send them a letter, and you might say, I'm done with that business. I'm not doing that business anymore, and whatever. But once you get approved by the underwriter, which is the final decision, well, then the house is yours after that. And so basically, what I'm saying, when you need $30,000 to $35,000 when you're purchasing a duplex, and what I'm saying is, okay, now you have that duplex. If you're making repairs, what you're gonna do is your repairs are gonna cost about maybe $7,000 because you're gonna have to pay for the workers to redo the floors, redo the bathrooms, and that kind of stuff, just to make it look nice. You don't want to buy a house with holes and all that kind of crap in it. Just don't buy it. Save yourself the trouble. So you're gonna buy a house that all you're looking forward to doing is doing contemporary repairs, and so that's what you're trying to make it a modern style, and so that's where that would cost about $7,000, maybe $10,000, and I'm talking about I'm including all the equipment that you took to buy for that house. I'm including all the workers that you've hired. Hopefully, you went to Home Depot and got the people that may be in the parking lot and you talk to them, and not the people who work at Home Depot. I'm talking about the guys. I don't want to say anything that might sound somebody might take offense to, but they come from certain countries, and if you speak other languages, that might help you. But anyway, you pick those guys up, you ask them to show you some of their work, and then basically, again, the amount that you would pay them, the amount you would pay for all your materials, and to redo your house, that should come up to about $7,000, $10,000. And so then what I'm saying is, okay, if you put down a 3% loan, why did you need $35,000? First off, you didn't. I was talking about if you were putting down 20 to 25%. But if you put down a 3%, it's not a bad idea to have 30 to 35 because you'll be comfortable. Now I would say to do it, you can do it with maybe $15,000. If you want to just do it, and but where I'm going with this is, okay, you spent $7,000 to remodel the house and pay everybody that did the work on the house. Now after that, you're going to have tenants come in the house, of course. So now that you have your first tenants, there's no way you're going to be able to predict what goes wrong with the house until somebody lives in it. And so when they live in that house, those first tenants who get in that house that you're renting out, something's going to happen. That first year is going to be your craziest year, meaning you probably won't really make too much of a profit, if a profit at all, based on how much you just spent out to buy the house, as far as your loan and fixing or buying and remodeling everything. But what I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to get you scared. Don't be scared at all. And so what I'm saying is, they get in the house and the pipes burst. Let's say the roof caves in. Also, when you get that inspection, make sure that you have somebody check out that roof and the shingles on the roof are not too old, because that can cost you a hell of a lot of money. I know from experience. So anyway, the roof might cave in while the air conditioner went out and the pipes don't work. That all happened to me. My first duplex that I had. On top of that, the transmission of my truck went out the same damn week. So I'm telling you from experience. So that right there is about, $7,000 for the ceiling, $5,000 for the air conditioners, $3,500 for the transmission. But you ain't gotta worry about that. But so let's just round that off to like about $15,000 right there. So you can see what I'm saying as far as those costs, where if you didn't have a little nice cushion backing you up, well then when that stuff goes wrong, your whole life might switch upside down. Be calm, be cool. I'm just saying that, it doesn't hurt to have at least 20,000, 25,000. You'll be comfortable. 30 to 35, you ain't got nothing to worry about if you have that. And I'm saying 30 to 35 when you're going in to purchase a house, not after you've purchased the house. So now you have your property, and if I forget anything, I'll try to come back to it. But now you have your property, and you're thinking to yourself, hey, okay, I got my duplex. Let's say you're making about $25,000 off of one duplex a year. And that's your take home, your profit margin. So if you have that a year coming in from that, what you might say is, I want another one, because that would mean you're having $50,000 coming in a year, right? And so you might be like, these numbers don't apply to me, but I'm just saying from to my experience, I'm just saying things and running with conversations. So again, don't be coming after me, but you will get shot. But anything other than that, what I'm saying is, if you want to get your second duplex and you ain't got no money at the time, and you're like, yo, I ain't got the money to get a second duplex, even though I'm seeing money come in, you know, what you can do is you want to refinance your house and you want to do a refi cash out. And what you do in that is your property most likely has what they call equity in it. And that's when, you bought the house for, let's say, $200,000, but now the neighborhood went up and your house is worth $250,000. That can happen in 1 year. So now what you're saying to the bank is, look, I want to take some of this money out, and I'm going to pay it back into my loan. So what they do is, let's say you take $25,000 or $30,000 out of the house that you've bought, and you refinance it, and that makes it so that now, your house is worth $250,000, and you took 25 out. Now, you're paying back a loan as it. Goodness, I'm trying not to stop the recording and all that stuff. My train of thought, but when you get into these numbers, it gets confusing a little bit. But basically, a lot of times, let's put it like this: your mortgage is going to be basically just the same, if not maybe $100 more per month, after you just took out $25,000, or around that amount. Then you use that, or if you have a 401k, take out some of your 401k. Let's say you take out $10,000 out of your 401k. Now you have $35,000, and you can go buy another duplex. Or if you're only doing 3% down payment for Fannie Mae, you might be able to get two other duplexes because you know what you're doing now. And so that's how you would collect on being able to use your house to make more money. And then follow the train, the thread. If you're at this level, you really don't need my advice anymore if you've made it this far. But you buy enough of those duplexes, then you can use your houses as collateral with the bank and say, hey, I want to put these other houses up. And then they'll just pre-approve you for the loans, and you don't have to put down, all those same down payments and go through all the things that you had to go through with the underwriters before. And you could start your own mortgage company with the banks where you take out loans to purchase multiple homes all at one time after that state, because now you have a business and that's your business is real estate. So let me run through that process again. If you want to, I would suggest that you buy duplex, triplex, quadruplex. What you want to do at the minimum, I would say, I know I keep going back and forth, but what I'm trying to say is, at the very minimum, if you're buying a duplex and you're going to use Fannie Mae, I would say you should have, I want to give you good advice. If you're in Atlanta, you should have $15,000 in the bank. You could do it for less. You could, especially if you're living with your parents or something like that. but I would suggest that you would have 15,000 and put down 3% on the house, and you buy a $200,000 duplex, $250,000 duplex, and then you put in $1,000 for the appraiser and the interest money, and another 1,000 for the, not the interest money, but the earnest money is what I was saying, $1,000 or $2,000 for the earnest money, and then you pay for the inspector. All that stuff is going to cost about $3,000. So you take $3,000 minus, you had $15,000. That puts you at about $12,000 for your new duplex that you just bought from the bank, and then you take from the $12,000 the 3% that you put in. That puts you at about maybe $10,000, $9,000 that you would have left right there. So you see how the numbers are, how you're going down, and then you have to get your tenants. So that's why I said at the very least have $15,000, and so now you're stepping in there, and you should be good to go after that, man. Let me try to think. And so if I pause for a little bit, that's because I'm not using the best editing program or the best recording program. So I don't feel like really stopping. Oh, one other piece of advice too is I would advise that wherever you live, you have a roommate. You have either a girlfriend who's paying half. Congratulations if you can find that. But or you find a brother or a friend, or you might move in with your parents. I couldn't do it. I love my parents. They're good to me. But now those are the things I would say as far as trying to get your money right and get your money together to be able to afford buying a duplex is because then you're paying only half the rent for wherever you stay, and so that allows you to collect the amount of money you need to be able to then go to the bank and say, hey, I want to buy this house or I want to buy this duplex over here. You know, uh, that's probably the best experienced financial advice I can give. And if I could think of anything else, then I'll put it in the little crawl or put it in some writing to add some information. But let me just try to think of other things that I'm not familiar with. But it's just good to go ahead and just say, and maybe if you can do something with it, each one teach one. So get a job or work two jobs. Uh, Most important in life is learning how to save your damn money, and don't buy things that you technically don't really need. You don't need the latest phone. You don't need that watch. You don't need to have, a Maserati car. Get you first something that can be making you money instead of you always spending your money. You know, in other words, invest. And I'd rather have six houses than you don't see no watches on these wrists than somebody trying to get me when I walk out here on these streets. And so basically live within your means. You've heard it a couple of times. Buy that Camry instead of that other car. Uh, Invest in your 401k and pull out your money after 5 years and use that money from your 401k to invest in something different. Use your tax write-offs. That's the other thing. Once you get a duplex, what you do is you did all this stuff to repair it and fix it, from your air conditioning and all that kind of stuff that I named before, your roof and all that. Okay, you did it. Next time taxes come around, if Trump doesn't make it back to office, because he ruined this and screwed us over, but you get to write all that stuff off. What that means is, let's say you spent $10,000 on your house. Well, on repairing your house. Well, you go to your tax guy and you say, these are the repairs I made, and basically you'll get about $3,000 or $4,000 back, depending on your tax guy. You might get some good money back. Let me just say like that. I don't want the IRS coming after me, because they already did. You already got me. Don't come again, please. Not that the IRS will be watching. But anyway, I'm just trying to say this to you. You get your money back from your tax write-offs for whatever you have put into that house, if you still have a job. And and then you can use that money, of course, to ball out and do whatever you want to do. But I'm not saying this is the best advice, but this is stuff I know, and this is other things that I do not know, but it's advice. Buy cars from an auction lot, and you want to buy repossessed cars, cars that the police have taken, and then you want to, they have these at auctions in every city that you go or live in, and then you go and you just buy them. You bid for them, and you might be able to buy, I don't know what the new car is today. That's a decent car, So anyway, you might be able to go there and get, let's say, a $35,000 car for maybe $8,000, and then you flip that and you sell that on the market for about 25. Well, you just profited, about $16,000, and or you can buy a Subway franchise, Jared, before he had the court case, and you can buy those foot long. Anyway, you can buy yourself a Subway franchise. They're pretty cheap, and run that operation. If you want to buy franchises like McDonald's, that's expensive. But if you want to buy franchises, the good thing to be able to do is find a partner and find some of your friends who are legitimate businessmen and you all go to the banks together, because McDonald's might cost, like, you might need to have like $2 million to be able to buy McDonald's or something like that. So you don't have $2 million, and so if you did, you wouldn't be watching this. So a guy in a wife beater in his kitchen giving you information. So anyway, if you did, what I'm trying to say is get your friends, about 5 friends maybe. Each of y'all have, maybe if y'all have, you know, $200,000 each, or the collateral for it to put up for it, you know, and then you go to the banks and say, collectively, this is our business. We all want to go in and do this and buy this McDonald's. Well, then you can buy McDonald's by partnering up that way as a company with your friends or with somebody else that has it, that's looking to do the same thing. And sometimes those businesses, you know, depending on your neighborhood, they might actually have people that are looking for partners. And you know, you take that risk. The payback is pretty damn good. I wish I did it. But other than that, if you don't have a college degree and you ain't graduate from high school, you can drive 18-wheeler trucks. Doesn't take much to get your license. They pay 6 figures, good money. You just drive around the city and deliver food on those 18-wheeler trucks. So you might have to go, depending on how good you are, you drive outside of your state, and you know, you do that about maybe you might do that 1 month. Okay, you brought in whatever you brought in. That next month, you just don't work at all, because it's hard to do that month after month, because you don't want to be on the road month after month like that. Or maybe you do, and you just do a 6-month stint, and then this other 6 months of the year, you don't do nothing or relax. But it pays you that amount of money. Look into driving 18-wheeler trucks. Or you could become an air conditioner technician. Learn how to fix air conditioners. You don't need a high school license. You don't need to graduate from college for that. Pay 6 figures. And then give me the call. So, you know, I want y'all to kind of like send in some money my way for giving you this information. Nah, but if you can fix air conditioners, help me out, because them motherfuckers go out a lot, and I need to be able to get somebody to fix that crap on the cheap. Have a good friend for that right now, though. He's my boy. Appreciate you, man. Love you for that. But anyway, learn how to do women's hair. Do a beauty salon. Women pay a hell of a lot of money for that. You get some pussy out of that too. You know, start a lawn service business. You know, all you got to do is buy a lawnmower. Go out there, start cutting grass, and do a good job. Hey, you know, you're good. You're good to be able to make your money. Property management. If people can trust you, well, you manage other people's properties, in the sense where, you know, if something needs to get done to the property, you call a company, and you call and make those calls, and you're in touch with other people's tenants when something needs to happen, and so that the owner doesn't have to talk to the tenants at all. I moved away from property management because I had a bad experience where they were trying to cheat me, and they were in with the other people who they were trying to get to fix stuff, and I found out. Or if you can't do any of those things, then you build a security team. If you got some muscles, hopefully bigger than mine, then you go out there and get your boys or some people that you know. You start a security team, get a contract, go down there and get go to different businesses and say, hey, we can provide security for you. You know, other thing is, other than renting the houses out as I do, you could buy the houses and sell the houses, which is called, of course, flipping them. You know, and after that, you can apply for business grants. Go down to your city hall, wherever you are. Ask what business grants are available for something that you're looking at, that you're interested in, and or the last thing that's really lucrative for us as African Americans, black folk, is you can start fishing in Alaska and doing some of these deep sea fishing escapades where they catch some of these big game, and those dudes, they work about 4 months a doggone year, you know. But if you just want something adrenaline going, but you probably ain't going to be around too many people of your kind. Anyway, and we all know Alaska is they're fucking racist, for lack of a better word. You know, I'm not going to bullshit you. So I mean, not all of them, not all. And when I say them, I'm just saying, you know, do your research. You know, I'm not going to go into that too much more. Anyway, or you can work for the oil, some of the reserves and the pipelines in the U.S. And those pay really good money, about $200,000, $275,000. And you do about 6 months there, or however long you want to do that. Or you can do contract work for security teams overseas and work in Kuwait in different countries. They pay, again, about 6 figures. Or you can buy yourself a tow truck and be the repo man. You're towing everybody else's cars and trucks, and you're bringing in 6 figures. So that's some of the financial advice to me for, didn't graduate from high school, didn't graduate from college, or you did graduate from college, which means you graduated from high school. So, advice is advice. And trying to think, man. Like I said, if I think of some more stuff, I'm gonna put it in here in writing or something. But I want to make it as simplified for you as possible, even though that just took about 40 minutes of time. Good luck.